Hey y'all, you are tuned in to season 2 of the Powerhouse Lash podcast. This podcast is my diary to the Lash community, where I share my highs, lows, lessons, rants, all things based on my journey as a lash artist. My heart is to share the reality of what it's really like to build a lash business, and I hope that these episodes help you feel seen, validated, educated, humored, and make your journey a little bit easier. I'm your host, T the Brand, and I'm glad you're here. Now let's get to it. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Powerhouse Lash podcast. I'm your host, T the Brand, and I'm glad that you're here. If this is your first time tuning into an episode, I hope that this episode helps make your journey a little bit easier. Before we get into the episode, I just want to remind you guys that Build Like a Powerhouse social media marketing and branding class is available. Mentorship opportunities are available. Mentorship, a 3-month minimum is required, but it's already included in the price. The class is a prerequisite or a requirement that you must take first before you can become a mentee, so that we can actually spend our time working on things and not me having to necessarily teach all the things from that class. Mentees, they receive 2 one-on-one growth check calls for us to make sure that you are doing the things that you need to do to achieve your goals. This is for accountability, support, direction, and whatever else you need from our relationship. And then you also receive a monthly masterclass with the other mentees. We'll all get on a Zoom call together, and I'll teach on a subject that right now it's just kind of what's commonly that I'm seeing amongst the mentees. I only have 2 right now, but what I'm seeing them both kind of need help with. So that's what our classes are covering, but it'll help the masterclass to help teach you something that you need to move your business forward. So that is that on that. Sign up for it if you're ready to grow. Now, I only want to work with people who are really ready to work and really ready to grow. I've had mentees before, and I've had to end those mentorship programs because I was teaching a lot, and I believe they were receiving the information, but they weren't doing the work to actually move forward. And I just don't want to work with nobody who's not ready to actually work and move. So if you're ready to see some growth, then let's work together. So we're going to hop into this episode. I have a friend who is also a client, and we've been talking here recently about comparison. So she sent me this song by Jonathan McReynolds. I cannot wait till he comes to Dallas, going to the concert for sure. But we were talking about this song that he has called Comparison Kills. And she sent it to me. I listened to it, and it was a beautiful song. And then today I was listening to a little message on comparison. Yesterday I had a conversation with another lash artist about comparison, just the feelings that you can get when you're scrolling and looking at content that other people in your industry are sharing and all the things. And comparison. Comparison is the thief of joy. It robs you of so much. It robs you of your vision. It robs you of your authenticity because you feel like who you are and what you're doing isn't good enough to make impact, to make change, to get you to where you need to be or where you want to go. It robs you of your time because you're actually looking at other people's stuff, comparing yourself, and you're, feeling bad. It robs you of happiness and peace and productivity. It takes so much from you. And the thing about comparison is you are on the outside looking in. So you could be comparing yourself to something or somebody that's not even really what it's appearing to be. So one of my mentees and I, who is also a friend, we've had this conversation a few times. And, it helps me process, it helps her process, and just overall, we just get better perspectives on comparison and, moving in your lane, in your way, at your time, and in the pace of grace that God has set for you, your life, your business. And so one of the things that she has said is people, herself included, she's like, because we haven't been friends, for a long time, but she's like, when I first started following you, I was looking and I'm like, whoa, this girl really got it together and this, that, and the third. And when I share in those conversations about how hard it was to get to just that point a year ago when, we first kind of met, and she was seeing, the type of content that I was creating. And when I was marketing my lash training classes, she, just felt like, girl, you doing it. But I'm like, girl, this was hard. And, even now, if people are to look at what I'm doing with the podcast and with YouTube and with clients and with the mentorship program and the online classes, like, girl, it's popping, you doing it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, girl, I was just crying. And you don't know how long it took for me to get to the point of actually doing it. You know, it looks easy. It may sound easy. It may seem easy, but that's what comparison does. It totally just I can't find the word. It gives you a false perspective of what somebody's life or business is actually like. And I'm not saying that I don't enjoy all the things that I do, because I love it, but it's not super easy. It's not like I wake up and I'm like, oh, today we're going to podcast and then we podcast, or today I'm going to record and then it doesn't work like that. You know, I'm still human. You're still human. And people who you look up to and compare yourself to are still very much so human. You don't know what it takes for them to get up and put a reel together. You don't know, what they went through to learn how to actually perfect the reels. Social media marketing was the hardest thing that I have had to learn how to do. Doing lashes was one thing, but learning how to market the lashes in a way that actually gets people to find me, and me not having to go find clients, and sharing information that they can really use to educate them and get them to come in, that was hard. And yeah, there were people on Instagram who were teaching you things, and I had a mentor who was telling me about target audience and telling me about building a brand identity, but nobody was bridging the gap. Like, it was, I have all of this information, I've created a target audience, I've created all the things of my brand identity, I've created a content plan and a marketing strategy, but I didn't know how to use that information. And most of my struggle was learning how to use the information to make it work. And people, you can look and assume and be like, oh, she knows so much and blah, blah, blah. Girl, I struggled. Bruh, I struggled. It was hard. And each time that you go to a new level in your life, in your business, in your maturity, your growth journey, it was going to require more hard things. Like, it's never a point to where you'll get to where you can just coast through it. You're going to have to keep learning things, and you're going to have to keep mastering hard things. Like, the process is just kind of, an ongoing cycle. And when you are looking at people, you have to consider not comparing your, let's say, step 2 to their step 200. Yeah, y'all might do the same thing. Yeah, you may have been in it longer. There's a lash artist that I know, and we've had conversation before, and she's like, I look at how I've been in business for 4 years and you've been in business for 2 years. And it's like, you're doing all of the things that I've wanted to do. I'm not going to list them all off because I just did that, but all of the things that I have my hand in the industry within my business. But she's like, you're doing all the things that I want to do. And I just don't know why I haven't been able to do it. Comparison kills. People haven't gone through your process to be able to, sorry, just got a text from a client. People haven't gone through your process to be able to withstand and stand in all that you are standing in and weather all that you've gone through. Like, there was a lot of time and work and money put in. Oh, and when it comes to money, people don't want to spend their money. Money is one of the investments that people don't want to invest. People don't want to invest anything, actually. You don't want to invest your time to actually practice, to actually learn it, to actually do the hard things, to be consistent. And consistency is what wipes a lot of people out, because consistency gets boring. You're doing the same thing over and over in different ways. You're creating the same caption over and over in different ways so you get the point across. You're still posting the same kind of lash pictures. But every consistency gets boring, and that drains people. And when you get tired of being consistent or bored being consistent with one thing, you try to jump into something else, not really looking at or processing how you're going to have to be consistent and get comfortable being bored with doing that same thing as well. See you later. We're doing that same thing as well. Lost my train of thought. Give me a second. Yeah. So anyway, within this conversation, she's saying, like, you're comparing. Yeah, you've been in it longer, but you haven't gone through what I've gone through, and you haven't done the work that I've had to do. You haven't spent the money that I've had to spend. You haven't put in the time and the energy and all of the things. People get scared to, I don't know, go all in for what they want, but then complain that, we don't have what we want. And that's a comparison thing. Comparison kills. Comparison kills. From my own comparison experiences, there's a lash artist, and I think she is amazing. She don't even do lashes no more. She's a product owner. She has her own product line, brand, and it's big, it's booming. And I'm like, dang, this girl she started this when she was 18, 19, and now she's 21 or 22, something like that. And sis drive a Tesla. Sis done moved across state. She got working in one state. Her headquarters is in a different state, and she's just doing it. She's doing it so young. And I'm like, dang, I'm 28, and if I had done it that way and blah, blah, blah. And it's important to have people around you who can keep you grounded too, because my friends were like, Tiara, at her age, you were doing something totally different. At her age, your dream wasn't to have a lash business. Your dream was to be a social worker and have your own private practice as a therapist. So me comparing where she is in her business because of her age compared to my age, it makes no sense at all. But here I am feeling invaluable. Is that a word? Here I am questioning my value. Here I am feeling like I'm not doing enough. Here I am feeling like, I need to change my focus, but also not considering that her lane isn't my lane. When I step back and think about it, I didn't want a product line. I still don't want a product line. That's not my lane. My lane, as of now, is education. I want to educate lash artists, and I don't want to educate you on how to do lashes. Yeah, you can take a training anywhere. You're probably going to develop your own, skills and things in different ways after training. And I do love training, but that's just not my lane right now. I want to teach you how to get clients after you've done your training. People are on Instagram and people are on all the social networks, teaching how to gain clientele, teaching about, or saying they're teaching how to gain clientele, but they're giving you very basic, very vague, very generic, not informative, not really helpful information. And my lane is bridging that gap. I'm going to give you the information, and I'm going to show you how to use it. And I'm going to walk with you through it. And I'm going to teach you how to think in a different way so that you can be more intentional about your business, so that everything is cohesive and makes sense, and so that you can communicate to your clients what your message is, and so that they can, be attracted to you and come. That's my lane in the lash industry. But if I was comparing, or still stuck on comparing where I am and where somebody else is, I'm looking at something that's not even mine. So you have to really be, cognizant of who you are and where you are. Authenticity is your key. If you're too busy comparing what you have to what somebody else's have, to what somebody else has, you'll end up sitting on the very thing that is supposed to make you rich. This message and I don't mean rich by money. I mean rich with knowledge. I mean rich with community, rich with influence, rich with impact. Like, it's not all about money. There are things to gain in the industry, in the world, outside of a dollar. And so this message that I was listening to earlier, that I kind of mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, was talking about comparison. Comparison will have you side-eyeing and feeling jealous and feeling not good enough, sitting outside of rooms that you're supposed to be in the room leading. The people are supposed to be following you, but because you won't get in place, because you won't do the work to actually get what you want to have, you can't get there. You won't be there. And now your life and your business suck because you won't play your part, play your role. Consider that sometimes where people are and what people have, even if it's the very thing that you want to do, if it's the very path that you want to be on, because you haven't been through what they've been through, you don't have the lung capacity to weather what they have and to go deal with what they're dealing with. For example, I met a lash artist who convinced me very easily that we were on the same page. So if I'm a 10 and you a 10, we can help each other. But as we got to know each other, and I'm not saying 10 in comparison any way, I'm just saying in different lanes and in different areas or steps on our journey. I'm a 10, but you're really a 5. So now me and you can't really do what we need to do. I can't really help you. You can't really help me. Neither of us are really benefiting from the relationship because you couldn't be real about where you were because you were too busy comparing. You're too busy acting like you're something that you're not. It's okay for you to be you and for you to be in your authenticity is your key. Comparison will have you fumbling the people that are meant to help you. It'll have you fumbling opportunities that are meant to take you to your next level. You can't ask how to do YouTube because you're too busy trying to convince me or somebody else. And this is not personal. I'm just saying me because this is how I'm talking. You're too busy trying to convince people that you're somewhere that you're not. So if you tell me that we're both 10s, okay, I think you know how to do this. And I think you know how to do that too. Because at a 10, this is what I've learned and this is what I can do. So when I'm talking to you about these things or, you're trying to talk to me about things, there's no middle ground for us. Because again, I'm a 10 and you're a 5 and you haven't had to do the work that I've had to do. And we're not on the same level. And I can't even help you because you're lying about who you are. And you're lying about who you are, not because that's just what you want to do or that's just what you do, but because you're comparing yourself. Comparison will have you fumbling the bag. Your money, your business, your friendships, your connections, your everything, y'all. It's okay to be you. And wherever you are, it's okay. Don't compare your level 1 to somebody's level 1 million. If anything, don't let comparison and jealousy get in the way of you receiving help from those people. If somebody knows more than I know, I'm not mad at you. I'm trying to figure, can you help me? Can you teach me? How much is a class? Oh, you don't have a class? Well, can I pay you anyway to help me master what it is that you have mastered? And that's something that I want to do. So I just want to wrap this episode and remind you guys, comparison kills. Comparison kills. And don't do it. I know that humanly, being human, it's hard to not do it sometimes, but you got to remember who you are. Anchor yourself in God and anchor your identity in Him and really be secure. If you feel like you're not where you want to be, man, put the work in, put the time in, put the effort in, put the money in, put it in. Do what you got to do to get where you want to be, but don't beat yourself up in the process and don't tear yourself down in the process or prolong your process because you won't be where you are. You're not comfortable with being where you are. And there's a saying, and we all said, I'm exactly where I should be. And we say it, to kind of give ourselves a pat on the back, give ourselves some grace. And it's true. But in the same regard, you are exactly where you should be based on the work, time, effort, money, energy, everything that you have put in to be where you are. And yeah, I'm gonna just sit there right there and we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. Thank y'all for listening. If you have any questions, any feedback, any comments, anything, send me a DM on Instagram at Powerhouse Lashes by TTB or drop it in the review section, write a comment. If you're on Spotify, make sure that you tell me what you thought about this episode. There's a little link under the episode on there for it. Y'all have the day that you deserve. I'm sorry if I fussed a little bit, but that was really serious and heavy on my heart, man. I don't want to use my podcast or any of my platforms as a way to fuss or as a way to, clear my chest for stuff. But I'm really passionate about life and I'm really passionate about growth. I'm passionate about my business and with helping other people. And so sometimes, I get a little bass in my voice behind it, but it's all love. And I hope that this episode feeds you, helps you grow in some kind of way or another. Y'all, again, have the day that you deserve. And I'll talk to y'all in the next one.